This is Steve Robertson, and I'm an economist and lead researcher at the American Finance Council. I'm here to make an urgent public service announcement on our Institute's behalf that every single American above the age of 40, you need to hear. The undeniable patterns and red flags that existed just prior to the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008 is once again reappearing in both the economy and political environment. However, for some reason, the mainstream media is not covering it at all. The U.S. economy is once again wrapped up in a giant bubble. Of further concern is the fact that the government has recently enacted legislation that once again facilitates the deregulation of Wall Street. That alone by itself wouldn't be such a big problem, except what makes it worse is that this time the ex-president of Goldman Sachs, Steve Mnuchin, is the sitting U.S. Treasury Secretary. Goldman Sachs was one of the chief investment banks that was responsible for the 2008 economic collapse. In fact, in 2016, the U.S. Department of Justice ordered them to pay more than $5 billion for serious misconduct and defrauding investors. Now, because the mainstream media prefers to devote their coverage to Kim Kardashian or fake news and not cover this important topic, our Institute is forced to make this public service announcement instead. Here's another inconvenient story that is not being covered. Did you know that the Federal Reserve is printing more money than the market can handle? In fact, because the Fed is printing money like there's no tomorrow, the U.S. dollar is rapidly becoming devalued. As a matter of fact, soon it will reach a point where it will become almost worthless. This is such a problem that even whistleblowers at the World Bank have openly stated that the U.S. currency is no longer viable.
Well, there is a terrible currency problem. We're on the verge of a currency war. The Federal Reserve is printing dollars like there's no tomorrow, and if they keep going, the rest of the world is not going to accept them.
On top of that, the United States owes foreign countries trillions of dollars in debt. In fact, our country is so much in debt, we can't pay it off in our lifetime. This is further exacerbated by the fact that the U.S. dollar is already overinflated. All of this adds up to one startling fact: an economic collapse of epic proportions, much larger than the global financial crisis in 2008, and it's imminent. I hate to tell you this, but the U.S. economy is on the verge of another complete collapse. It could happen within 6 months, it could happen within 3 months, or it could happen a lot sooner. Whistleblowing analysts from Goldman Sachs also confirm our findings and predict within the next 6 months, the share of the market is going to get wiped out. Make no mistake, before the end of this presidential term, the United States economy will suffer an economic meltdown, and it'll make the Great Depression from the 30s, which was the longest, deepest, and most widespread depression in U.S. history, look like a booming and prosperous gold rush. But here's the good news. If you watch this special presentation to the very end, we'll reveal to you a little loophole that the ruling 1% of the elite used to legally transfer wealth from the masses to them during each market crash. But that's not all. You'll learn how you can use this legal loophole to your advantage so that you'll be able to not only protect your existing assets and savings, but also be able to profit tremendously from the imminent economic collapse. As a matter of fact, by the end of this presentation, you might find yourself almost begging for the U.S. economy bubble to burst sooner so you can exploit this legal wealth transfer and come out on top. Once you apply what I'll reveal, you'll also have the ability to manipulate and control 99% of the peasant class of the population by exploiting the U.S. financial system to your advantage. You can start as soon as tonight. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of money. It doesn't matter if you have no financial experience and lack of money management skills. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. It doesn't matter if you don't even have a lot of time. If you use what I show you wisely, you will no doubt profit immensely from the imminent economic meltdown that the American economy is about to face. And the reason we're so confident about our method is because over the past few years, we've helped over 23,323 Americans transform their financial lives. And during this time, we've had many reports of complete newbies literally telling us that it took them less than 24 hours to experience life-changing financial results. Should you choose to ignore what we're about to reveal to you, make no mistake, you will be left destitute and broke. You will be stepped on like a medieval peasant and have your financial nest egg ruined. And you will be left to shovel around in shit and grime trying to scrape together a living. So, don't say we didn't warn you. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid the greatest economic collapse in modern history from destroying your financial assets, then let me pass on to you my trusted friend and colleague, Ronald Richards. Ronald is no ordinary economist. In fact, he served as a White House presidential advisor for 16 years, giving economic guidance and counsel to both Republican and Democrat administrations. He has personally lived through and witnessed more economic cycles than most of us. That is why he is more than qualified to give you more information about this.
Thanks, Steve. Hi there. My name is Ronald Richards, and I'm a retired economist and lead researcher at American Finance Council. Due to the shocking nature of this presentation, the mainstream media is trying its best to suppress this knowledge. That's why we cannot guarantee that this video will be up for much longer, so you need to watch this entire presentation right now. Let us expose the inconvenient and uncomfortable facts about the imminent financial destruction of our once great, God-fearing Christian nation. Make no mistake, the United States of America, once the beacon of the world and the engine of global commerce, is headed for total financial collapse within 6 months or sooner. Whether you like to admit it or not, there's an invisible moving hand that controls what happens to society and our economy as a whole. This undeniable truth is all around you. You see fragments and clues hinting in it in the headlines every day, but few people have put the pieces together. In fact, most of the sheeple either are too brainwashed to acknowledge these inconvenient and uncomfortable realities, or simply are in denial and choose to be blind to what's literally staring them right in the face. For the past few centuries, each and every significant financial collapse has been carefully orchestrated by the elite 1%. This is particularly true in the past 100 years, from the spectacular stock market crash in the 20s that led to the Great Depression in the 30s, to the oil and energy crisis in the 70s. These were all calculated events, manufactured and executed by the ruling class to fleece massive fortunes of wealth from the rest of the 99%. And the practice of instigating calculated and systematic economic collapse is now occurring much more frequently, especially since the advent of the internet. In the past 20 years, there were 3 significant bubbles to burst in the U.S. alone. Remember the tech bubble in the 90s that resulted in 90% of investors of online startups to lose money? Who were the catalysts responsible for overhyping and inflating the valuations of worthless websites? Well, it certainly wasn't the everyday working-class average Joe. Or what about the abnormal surge of put options in the derivatives market on both United Airlines and American Airlines, inexplicably purchased by unnamed sources on September the 10th, literally the day before the infamous September 11 attacks? Anyone can check the publicly available trading records clearly verifying this anomaly and notice that something was not right. Because as the stock prices of those airlines crashed on September the 11th, as the planes smashed into the Twin Towers, the secret investors who bought thousands of put options the day prior profited hundreds of millions during that 24-hour period. And finally, during the global financial crisis in 2008, billions upon billions of dollars of savings and retirement funds of everyday average Americans were written off as losses. Who are the ones involved in the handling and management of the massive investment in hedge funds. Certainly wasn't someone from the 99% peasant class, I can guarantee you that. Could the ones that were ultimately responsible be the 1% of the ruling elite? We've all witnessed the billion-dollar bailouts provided by the U.S. government to back the banks that were too big to fail. Anyone with more than a rudimentary understanding of the stock market understands that overall trading the stock market results in a zero-sum game. This means, in the end, no money will be created or lost, because essentially, someone's loss eventually becomes another's profit. There's only a transfer of funds. There's no net creation of wealth in the share market. So what does this mean? All the billions of dollars that were purportedly lost in the U.S. stock market were effectively transferred in the form of enormous profits to the elite 1%, who made billions during this time. Right now, the clock is ticking, and our nation is already beyond the tipping point. At this stage in the game, even radical action of any sort that our political leaders are willing to undertake would be simply too little, too late. Understand this: the sequence of events that will guarantee another financial collapse is already well underway, whether you see it or not. This is partly by design, because on the one hand, our corrupt political leaders are part of the 1% elite ruling class, and they certainly do not want to cause wide-scale public panic. On the other hand, they also serve to profit tremendously from the financial fallout at the expense of the rest of the 99% of the population. But this time, there is a game-changing twist. You see, this time, when our economy collapses, it'll also bring the U.S. dollar crashing down. After this, many expert economists agree that the U.S. dollar will no longer be the world's market reserve currency. I've already shown you the video proof where whistleblowers at the World Bank openly state that the Federal Reserve is printing too much U.S. dollars that the market can no longer tolerate. Soon, the world market will reject the U.S. dollar as the international reserve currency. This, in turn, will send global financial markets into a downward spiral of epic proportions and lead to an economic downturn of gargantuan scope on a worldwide scale. Now, make no mistake, the next collapse will make the global financial crisis we experienced in 2008 look like a prosperous and booming bull market, because this time, the U.S. government does not have billions of dollars of financial surpluses to bail out the economy. In fact, our government is in more debt than we can fathom to ever pay back already. And just like every other financial calamity, the rest of the 99% will be fleeced, while the elite 1% of the ruling class will profit inordinately from this event. But there is hope. You see, using the knowledge that I'll present to you in this presentation, you too will also be able to profit tremendously from the next financial crisis. Starting tonight, you'll have the knowledge that the ruling 1% possess, and be able to come out on top and profit from the aftermath on a level that you've never previously imagined. You don't need to be a billionaire or have a fancy economics degree to know that the fundamentals behind the U.S. economy is based on very shaky grounds. Domestically, the U.S. is facing a looming unemployment crisis. Essentially, the reason why the U.S. was able to borrow so much in the past was due to the protected expected growth of our economy's GDP. But as we can all see from the headlines, the big corporations continually outsource American jobs overseas, and our unemployment rates keep rising and rising. So this means that our economy cannot grow to the projected rate which our debt was based upon. And this means that there will be problems paying back all that money. It won't be long before the rest of the world market realizes this inconvenient truth. And once that happens, the value of the U.S. dollar would collapse like a bunch of dominoes. Although this might sound bleak, this is just the start of our problems. You see, if the domestic unemployment rate was the only issue, we might have a chance that the biggest economic downfall in recorded history could be avoided. But it isn't. Because of globalization of the past few decades, the U.S. economy is also vulnerable to other potential risks internationally. Currently, the U.S. already owes more than $18 trillion in debt to foreign countries. China and Japan are the largest holders of our debt, and their economies are too experiencing major economic downturns. If their economies don't continue to grow, they'll be forced to dump their holdings of U.S. Treasury notes through the secondary market, which would be another serious catalyst for the rapid devaluation of the U.S. dollar as well. What's going to happen when all of your savings evaporates into thin air overnight? Now, make no mistake, there will be bank runs all across the country, coast to coast, where 99% of the population will desperately attempt to withdraw their now worthless paper money. I hope you're prepared, because the clock keeps ticking, and it's a question of when, not if, that this inevitably will occur. Are you and your family prepared for what's going to happen? Can you honestly tell me that you and your family will be financially secure after this? Or are you simply hoping this won't happen? Are you burying your head in the sand, pretending that you don't see the same realities that I have clearly outlined to you in this presentation? I don't know about you, but unlike 99% of the others, I'm actually kind of hoping that a financial collapse will come sooner. I know this might sound extremely selfish, and honestly it is, but before you judge me, first listen to my story. Back in 2004, I'd been monitoring the CDO market with several of my professional colleagues. We saw what was happening to the U.S. market at that time, and how liberal economic policies, along with deregulation, were distorting the price of both the real estate and the equities market. We were one of a small group of people who tried to sound the alarm back in 2004, but we made one critical mistake. We actually trusted that the federal government would do the right thing and reveal this information to the masses through public announcements. Well, guess what? They did not. Instead, they forced us to shut down in late 2004 and threatened us with legal action if we dared mention our findings. In hindsight, we shouldn't have complied and caved into the pressure. Then we all know what happened next. In 2008, the bottom fell out of the CDO market. The U.S. stock market literally collapsed overnight, resulting in a recession that lasted the better part of 10 years. However, not everyone was affected by the recession in a negative way. You see, there is an economic theory about the share market, whereby experts argue that it essentially is a zero-sum game. This means the losses of one end up as gains for another. And if history was anything to go by, the 99% of the peasant class would once again be the ones footing the bill and making the elite 1% insane amounts of profits during this time. And the more investigation I did about this topic, the more evidence supported this. I contacted fellow professional colleagues of mine who were also very intrigued. Together, we started to map out our findings by tracing clues left behind, hidden amongst the millions of transactions and financial records. Eventually, we created a program that perfectly simulated abnormal trading patterns we identified from carefully scrutinizing the data. This was painstaking work, and it spanned across different time zones, currencies, and financial instruments. After months of trial and error, we eventually were able to successfully emulate and replicate the process by which the 1% were able to not only protect their assets, but effectively legally transferred wealth from the 99% peasant class to themselves. This was achieved through the correct funneling of assets through certain mediums, whilst essentially bearing little or no legal risk to themselves. And it was nothing like anything else we ever expected, because it wasn't a set of complicated trading rules. No, it was much simpler than that. In fact, after finally figuring out how simple it was almost embarrassing that a bunch of highly trained professionals in the field of economics, finance, law, and accounting didn't see this obvious method earlier. The next logical step, of course, was to actually implement what we had discovered, to see how it would react to the real-life market conditions. And the effects were outright shockingly impressive. Initially, our tests were much better than expected, so we decided to conduct trials using this secret system with students with zero prior experience. We also reached out to more financial experts and other industry professionals to further verify the authenticity of this system, and this was how the formation of the American Finance Council initially began. It was only after hundreds of tests based off results from varying candidates and scenarios, and having a success rate of more than 95%, did we realize we'd stumbled across the secret formula that the elite 1% of the ruling class have in their possession this entire time. Initially, we didn't have a name for it, but we eventually decided to call it the U.S. Domino Survivor. This was because of the uncanny ability of the test subjects to not only survive after financial calamity, but to come out and actually thrive after it. And you, too, can apply the secret tonight. It doesn't matter if you have no financial experience. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of time. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of money. It's that quick and simple to use, and I'm not even exaggerating. We've had students who have zero previous experience report that they were able to utilize what we'd taught them within 24 hours and actually secure all their assets while making profits from dips in the economic cycle. Now understand this. What you're about to learn isn't some unproven, untested system. This has been meticulously compiled systematically by economic finance and legal experts. This is the exact system that the American Finance Council has used to help more than 23,323 Americans transform their financial future. And it's also the tested system that the 1% of the elite ruling class follow in order to transfer wealth from 99% of the peasant class and profit tremendously during any financial downturn. Here's what Larry from Texas had to say. I'm in my 50s and only made enough to ever pay the bills. I never thought about the financial future of my family until the global financial crisis a few years ago destroyed what little savings I had. I'd almost given up on having retirement funds completely and hoped that either the government or my kids will take care of me in the future. When I came across this course created by the American Finance Council, I was worried it would be complicated and hard to implement. I'm not a finance expert, and I also just recently got my new iPad tablet from my daughter as a gift. I wanted to know if it worked there. I was able to download the entire course within 60 seconds. I really liked how this course came in audio format too, because much of my reading hurts my eyes. After applying some of the principles in this course, I was excited to show my son-in-law, who was a top financial planner in town. As soon as he saw what I was doing, he was floored and wanted to copy it. I'm so glad that I tried this course because although I don't have a lot of money, I already profited slightly from a small dip in the market. John, 37, from New York, wrote in, I lost my job several months ago and I was hoping I could scrape by on my savings before I got another job. I needed to do something fast because I knew how volatile the economy was, and I was literally almost completely broke. I didn't have thousands of dollars to spend. That was until I heard about the American Finance Council and tried one of their courses. The results were almost instant. Within a few days of implementing what I was taught, there was a small bust in a sector where I had some assets. Normally, I would have panicked and probably lost money in that situation. But this time, I followed what I'd learned and made a tiny profit already. If things keep going this way, maybe I don't need to get another job after all. Michael from Singapore said this, I'd been worried about an economic collapse ever since I was a kid. This was probably because I saw what happened to our family's finances during the 1997 Asian financial crisis. That's why I always saved and was frugal with money. But even then, I wasn't able to walk away unscathed during the last global economic meltdown. I honestly thought to myself I'd never be able to be 100% safe after any financial crisis in the future. Then a friend of mine told me about the American Finance Council, so I decided to give them a shot. And within days, I was able to immediately reduce my risk exposure to almost zero during any calamity. After nearly 20 years of constantly worrying about having my savings wiped out, I'm now almost hoping that a depression will come sooner so I can profit handsomely from it. Inside U.S. Domino Survivor, which is the only course officially endorsed by the American Finance Council and has helped over 23,323 Americans transform their financial future, you'll discover the truth behind the elite 1%. In this shocking chapter, you'll learn in explicit detail how the 1% of the elite have set up both a legal and financial system that focuses on legally stealing wealth from the 99% to the peasant class. Wouldn't it be great if someone showed you with specific and precise examples how the elite 1% exploit legal loopholes that allow them to actually transfer funds out of the tax system and make the 99% of the peasant class foot the bill? Well, that's just the start of what I'm going to reveal to you in Financial Fundamentals of the Filthy Rich. After applying just 10% of what I show you in this section, you're going to instantly increase your spending income. even if you don't actually earn more money, without getting into horrendous debt while paying less taxes or avoiding them altogether. In the Permanent Asset Protection module, you're going to learn previously underground methods that will absolutely guarantee that your existing assets will be untouchable. Let's face it, we all know that the corrupt politicians and the elite have made insane amounts of money year after year for centuries. All that dirty money must be laundered and stored somewhere safe, right? Let us show you the legal method of money laundering that the ruling class have used for centuries to protect their assets and wealth in perpetuity. That's just one of the eye-opening revelations you're going to get after going through the Permanent Asset Protection module, so you can apply it tonight. Imagine being in a situation where you'd be making money regardless of where the economy's going. So not only would you be making good money during the boom times, but you were also in a situation where your net worth would actually increase each time there was a financial fallout. Yes, you heard right. In the Fiscal Fallout Increasers module, we're going to do all that and much, much more. I guarantee you, as long as you use one tactic in this section, you're going to smile each time the stock market crashes, because this means your net worth will increase each time. Did you know that the average American is under unlimited legal and fiscal liability if something happens to them? Yes, that's right. Imagine if you did absolutely nothing wrong, but you were still liable to have your entire net worth and financial savings ruined. This could come in the form of legal lawsuits, IRS investigation and random audits, crashes in our economy. What if there was a way to not only reduce your financial risk exposure, but eliminate it completely? In the Rapid Risk Reducers section, let me show you how to make yourself 100% risk-free from any form of liability that would affect your finances in any way. This way, you'll truly have peace of mind, knowing that even if someone with power, money, and influence made you a target, there was absolutely nothing they could do to take away a single penny from you. The next section is almost borderline illegal. It's borderline illegal because we're going to show you how to prevent paying another penny in tax for the rest of your life. Remember, tax evasion is illegal, but we're not going to do that. Instead, in the Perpetual Tax Prevention section, just like the elite 1%, we're going to legally game the system so that paying the tax man will be a thing of the past. Did you know that 93% of Americans will be the victim of at least one financial time bomb that will all but cripple their entire net worth in their lifetime? It'll only be a matter of time till one of those hidden events will wipe you out. That's why in the Avoiding Hidden Financial Time Bomb section, we're going to show you how to avoid this and much more. This is just a short preview of what you'll know after downloading U.S. Domino's Survivor System. Due to time limitations, I can only show you less than 10% of what's offered inside this one-of-a-kind course. Now, let me ask you, how much would it be worth to not only survive the coming financial collapse, but come out on top of it with more tangible wealth than you can imagine? Regardless of what financial situation you're in right now, how much debt you're in, and how much money you're currently making, what kind of value would you place on knowing the secret system of the 1% of the ruling class that they use to accumulate more wealth than the rest of the 99% of the population, so that even without a collapse, you'll be able to exploit the system and never worry about not having enough money to another bill again, so that you'll finally have the time and money to enjoy life and live it to its fullest without any budgeting restrictions, so that you can be finally free and independent and quit your boring and dull 9-to-5 job that eats away at every facet of your life. Now, I can tell you, in the past, I've lectured at private seminars where people from all around the world, of all ages and backgrounds, have paid thousands of dollars to learn less than 10% of these same secrets. $4,997 would be a fair price for U.S. Domino Survivor if you consider that you're about to receive all of this information immediately without having to pay for an expensive seminar ticket and a flight and a hotel room. Not to mention, you'll even receive free support from our team to make sure you're 100% successful. But you're not going to pay $4,997. You won't even need to pay $1,997. Not even $497. Because you're still watching this presentation, it means that you're one of the lucky few who will still be allowed to participate in this private test group. You can access this complete system plus a whole bunch of VIP bonuses for a single, one-time, 100% refundable deposit in the amount you see on the screen right now. Remember, you're actually really not risking anything because your no-obligation deposit is totally refundable. I want you to be rest assured and understand that your deposit is absolutely backed by an ironclad 100% money-back guarantee. So you can download the system knowing that you're not risking a single penny. Once you click the big green button below, you're going to feel great because you'll know you'll finally be financially secure, regardless of what the economy is doing. Even if unemployment is rising and the share market is diving, you'll be trying to hide your delight as you know your net worth is increasing as everyone else's is on the decline. And you'll even receive a package of exclusive bonuses if you try this out today. Let me tell you what you'll get. The U.S. Domino Survivor video course, a $497 value. Because we really want to make sure you understand these principles in detail, we've recorded a very comprehensive and detailed video course just for you in order to really break down what we're teaching you. This way, we'll be certain that anyone who tries our course will be able to easily learn what we have to teach by sitting back and watching easy-to-understand videos. The U.S. Domino Survivor audio course, a $247 value. We know you're a busy person and you're constantly on the go, so we've created an audio course to make sure that even if you don't get a chance to read this system, you're still going to be able to consume all this knowledge wherever you are. And here's the next bonus. Prepping Americans for Hyperinflation documentary video, a $67 value. Because we want to make sure that you're thoroughly prepared for the coming collapse, we're including an educational documentary about hyperinflation designed specifically for Americans and people living in Western societies. Be prepared to be shocked to the very core by the contents of this eye-opening presentation. You're going to learn the alarming truth about how close the USA is on the verge of a total financial collapse. And finally, we're also going to give you unlimited lifetime updates to the system, a $19 value. The U.S. Domino Survivor is constantly being updated and improved with new modules and strategies. And whenever a new version is released, you'll receive an email from us that allows you to download the latest version for free. So let me remind you of the bonuses you're going to instantly receive for free on top of the U.S. Domino Survivor when you click the big green button below. The U.S. Domino Survivor video course, a $497 value. The U.S. Domino Survivor audio course, a $247 value. Prepping Americans for Hyperinflation documentary video, a $67 value. The unlimited lifetime updates to the system, a $19 value a month. That's over $830 of value. And those are just the high-quality bonuses we're going to give you on top of the U.S. Domino Survivor system itself. Remember, this one-of-a-kind system that reveals the financial secrets of the 1% and is valued at more than a few $1,000s when you factor in what we normally charge to our students. Plus, this is the only course officially endorsed by the American Finance Council and has already proven to help over 23,323 Americans transform their financial future. You can download the entire U.S. Domino Survivor and receive all $830 worth of bonuses for the one-time 100% refundable deposit that you see on the page right now. The bonuses alone make this a ridiculously cheap bargain, but this might not be available tomorrow, which is why you need to click on the big green button right now. On the next page, you can complete your deposit. If you're worried about online security, then rest assured this transaction is 100% secure and is encrypted with the latest 256-bit encryption protocol, which guarantees that everything that happens from this point forward is safe, secure, and most importantly, private. And remember, your deposit is backed by a 60-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. And the only reason we can make you this risk-free offer is that we are absolutely confident that this will change your financial future forever. Click the big green button below this video so you can discover these incredible life-changing secrets right now. But you do need to act now. The window of opportunity for you to save yourself from the coming economic collapse is rapidly closing. This is why you must take action right now in order to secure access to this entire system and receive all the high-quality free bonuses. You're looking at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to totally transform your own destiny so that you'll finally know the feeling of being in control of your future forever. Look, the reality is that a worldwide financial collapse is imminent. The warning signs are painfully obvious, and it's as clear as day. You can either be prepared to weather the storm, and using my strategies, you'll actually come out on top. Or you can pretend it's not coming and be caught by surprise when it happens and everything starts falling apart around you. The question then is, which position would you rather be in? Caught by surprise and swept up in the chaos, putting your family at risk, or completely prepared and able to weather the storm and profit tremendously from it? The reason why you're still here is because deep down, you know what I'm telling you is true. You've seen the signs yourself on the news, and you've grown uneasy even if you weren't exactly sure why. Those were your instincts kicking in, telling you that trouble was imminent. Deep down inside, you know it's true. The question, the only question that really matters is, will you be ready for it when it happens? Or will you and your family be one of the countless nameless victims that'll be another statistic suffering from the imminent collapse that you can see, no doubt, is coming? Right now, the choice you make will absolutely affect the rest of your life. Because if you make the right choice, you'll have the ability to change your future and thrive from the imminent collapse of the U.S. economy. And yes, you can have it all tonight. All you need to do is click the big green button below and complete the deposit process and apply this easy, proven method. Now, since you've watched this far, I know you might be sitting on the fence and asking yourself whether or not to take advantage of this offer. But the only reason you're where you are right now is because I know you know somewhere in the back of your mind that what I'm telling you is right. You're at a crossroads, and you have three options. Option 1, you can close this page and leave right now. You will continue to live the life that you have and experience again and again the kind of disappointment and financial uncertainty that led you to watching this presentation. We both know that isn't what you want. Option 2, you can leave this page and try to use the knowledge you've gained from this presentation to wing it and figure it out for yourself. But let's face it, unless you have the exact secret formula that's been successfully used by over 23,323 students at the American Finance Council, no matter of winging it will allow you to exploit the loopholes that the 1% ruling class have been using since the advent of our modern financial system. And when the coming economic collapse comes, you're just going to be another financial fatality statistic being reported on the news. Option 3, you can try out the U.S. Domino Survivor and take advantage of this incredible package, including the VIP bonus materials for the tiny discounted deposit that you see on this page, which is also 100% refundable. Remember, as I've shown you already, the bonuses on their own are valued at $830 and worth far more than the price you're being asked to pay right now. Simply click the big green button below and complete your deposit process. Remember, this is really absolutely risk-free with a 60-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. This website's records show that there are less than 7 spots left out of the 300 spots originally available. This presentation's being watched by 2,327 people right now. We expect the remaining 7 spots to be claimed within the next few minutes, if not sooner. So if you don't take action immediately, I cannot promise that you'll be able to receive these secrets after today. Click the big green button right now and give it a test drive for 60 days. We're confident that you're going to be absolutely blown away by the secrets you're about to discover. Let's face it, you and your family deserve a secure and safe financial future. I know that. And if you've watched this far, you know that as well. Now's the time to take what is rightfully yours. Now's the time to experience the kind of lifestyle that you were destined and deserve to live. It's time for you to take charge of your financial future, so you're no longer just another individual who has their rights exploited and abused by the 1%. It's time for you to join the ruling elite of people who know how to game the system and manipulate the laws and regulations to your advantage. This is what you'll experience if you click the big green button below and try out the U.S. Domino Survivor. Once you click the button below, you'll receive instant access to these bonuses on top of the U.S. Domino Survivor system. The U.S. Domino Survivor video course, a $497 value. The U.S. Domino Survivor audio course, a $247 value. Prepping Americans for Hyperinflation documentary video, a $67 value. Unlimited lifetime updates to the system, a $19 value. According to our stats, our numbers of available spots is now down to 4. Within a few minutes, this website will no longer be online, and your chance to access the secret method will be gone for good. Make today the day that you change your life once and for all. It only takes one click of the button below. Whatever you decide to do, I truly wish you the best. Hey, you're still around? Maybe you have some questions, so let me answer some of them for you. Johnny, 45, from Phoenix, Arizona, emailed us to ask this question. Is this U.S. Domino Survivor course going to work for someone like me? I have a regular job, and I don't have extra money to spend. I also have a family to take care of, and I don't have a lot of time. Does it apply to all kinds of people in any situation? Johnny, the answer is yes. This will work for you in any given situation, including yours. Remember, this method reveals to you the secret that the 1% of the elite use to dominate and control 99% of the world's wealth, regardless of what the global economic situation is. The U.S. Domino Survivor works for anyone, regardless of your situation. It works if you're a single parent. It works if you don't have a lot of time. It works if you have bad credit. It works even if you don't have a lot of money. This works for anyone, period. Next question from Vincent in Austin, Texas. How fast do I get access to the program? And will it work on my phone or iPad? Vincent, you'll have these secrets laid out in front of you within 30 seconds. As soon as you place your deposit, your spot will be reserved to receive the training system, and you'll be able to access and download it to any device, including your iPhone, iPad, smartphone, computer, or laptop. Johnson in Las Vegas, Nevada asks, what if it doesn't work for me? Can I trust your 60-day money-back guarantee? Johnson, honestly, you're really just making a test deposit. This course is backed by a 100% ironclad guarantee. If you implement what we teach you and take action and still don't get results within 60 days, then just send us an email and we'll refund every penny. He also continues, how hard is it to implement this plan? It sounds complicated. If it sounds complicated, that's because you haven't seen the step-by-step outline that we've mapped out for you. Remember, we've used this method to successfully protect over 23,323 students already. We've had complete newbies complete the course and implement it within 24 hours in the past. So it's very easy to implement. Robert, 35, from Quebec, Canada, asks, how long will this take? We've had students finishing the course within the same day of downloading it. Others have taken longer. So it really depends on how quickly you want to become 100% financially secure. It can be done in as little or as much time as you dictate. He then continues, okay, but what if nothing happens? We created the U.S. Domino Survivor with survival in mind. And make no mistake, something will happen. But even if I'm wrong and nothing happens, you'll have gained a boatload of invaluable skills that no one can take away from you. Now, on top of that, if you apply the secrets we teach you, every single time there's a dip in the share market or a potential threat to the economy, you're going to have an increase in your overall net wealth. Remember, we're showing you the tricks and strategies that the secret 1% of the ruling elite use to dominate and control the world's wealth, regardless of the current prevailing economic conditions at the time. And finally, Robert finishes with, I don't have a lot of money. Will this work for me? The short answer is yes, this will work for you. Once again, let me remind you, we have helped over 23,323 students in the past, and this worked for all of them, regardless of their financial situation at the time. Anthony from Brisbane, Australia asks, will this work if I'm outside the U.S.? Even though we wrote U.S. Domino Survivor System with residents of the U.S. in mind, this system, by design, sees those who practice it traveling all over the world. So yes, you could start from anywhere in the world and still make full use of this program. The asset protection strategies will work for you no matter where you are, as will the rest. Because, let's face it, our country's economy is not going to stay as strong as it was, and the signs of collapse are already imminent and everywhere. The government's fiscal policy of quantitative easing keeps driving the velocity of money lower. Remember, it's lower now than it was during the height of the Great Depression. The recovery is a sham and a lie. There are fewer people working today than there were when the recession started in 2008, and that number continues to shrink. We're already at the tipping point. At this point, there's nothing that can be done to prevent a collapse. It's inevitable. Just keep an eye on the headlines. You can't miss it. The signs are everywhere. Collapse is coming, and the U.S. government knows it. The elite 1% of the ruling class have their backup plans already. But what about you? What will you and your family do? Because you know as well as I do, when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be left alone. No help is going to come and aid you. Uncle Sam isn't coming to your rescue. But if you're smart and follow what we show you in this system, you won't be one of the victims this time around. Because you'll be living a better, freer life, traveling the world and profiting tremendously from each time the market crashes. This time, you'll be part of the 1% that actually make money from economic meltdowns. So go on, click one of the big green buttons below and give U.S. Domino Survivor a test drive, so you'll have the peace of mind you and your family deserve. Thank you again for watching this presentation. This is Ronald Richards, signing off.